What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have not been in the garage in the last 5 days because I've just been kicking my leg up. It has been hot, it cooled down, and then it picked back up, and today is a little chilly. Quick little update with the white CRX. Now, I've been cleaning a lot of the interior out of the car. The seats are right here behind me as well too, and I haven't put those back into the car yet, but I talked to the friends over at S1 Built, and we are working on a drive shaft for the car so we can make the exhaust system. I did order some tires for the KONIG wheels that are sitting up there so we can put all 4 onto the car, because right now it only has 2 in the front. As mentioned before, it needs an alignment, it needs a tune, and then we can finalize the rest of the car. It's been kind of hot to cut and polish the paint, but I also still need to go buy sandpaper to be able to cut and polish the car, so that's going to be saved for a later time because I wanted to cool down a little bit. Project Blueberry has been sitting on the far end of the grass, and the last thing we did to it was a compression test. Right here we have the reading 190, 185, 185, 190, which is pretty good for a junkyard engine, and we've been trying to figure out why the car has been smoking. During the compression test, we looked at the spark plugs, and the spark plug looks freaking awesome according to Jeremy, Guy, and Nomis. So I'm leading to believe that it's not anything coming from the cylinder, because if it was burning oil that we thought the block is doing, the spark plugs would be freaking fouled out black, and the catch can would be smoking. The back of the exhaust should be blowing smoke, but it's not. It's not blowing the color of oil, and I'm just trying to still figure out what is really going on. So the other day I came out and I kind of went over Blueberry a little bit off camera, and I was doing a little inspection to see if there was like any type of oil leaks that's coming from the back side here that may be dripping onto the exhaust system, or, you know, just causing some type of smoke from fluid hitting hot parts. I couldn't find anything. But what I did find was, I was looking back here and I noticed that the motor mount is really wet. And then I'm like, where's that coming from? I know that I had tightened these up before and it's not leaking from the fittings for the fuel line. And then I looked back onto the firewall back here. I don't know if you can see that. The paint's coming off. And normally when paint comes off around the brake area, that's a brake fluid situation. So I was looking at the prop valve and I'm like, hold on a second, super wet. And the lines down there are also super wet. So I looked over here and I'm like, where the hell did all my fluid go? It's gone. So I'm like, okay, what's going on with my prop valve? And I looked online to figure out how can I, you know, diag a prop valve. And there's a little weep hole right here. The weep hole is leaking when I press on the brakes. I'll put a little video that I recorded on my phone. So you saw that the brake fluid was coming out of the weep hole, and typically that means the valve O-ring on the inside is bad. The tolerance, according to the interwebs, is supposed to be 0.0. Now, if you're leaking, you're obviously past the tolerance of 0.0, and anything 0.1 will leak out of the weep hole. Now, this is typically not meant to be rebuilt. There are only a few brand O-rings that are brake fluid compatible, which you can buy, and you can rebuild this because I've seen it rebuilt before. But I need to figure out the size, obviously, and the type of O-ring it needs if I decide I want to rebuild this, because right now my junkyards don't really have any EGs that has a prop valve that I can exchange this with. So brake fluid is probably what's leaking down there, that's leaking on top of my downpipe, that's causing the car to smoke from the side of my doors. You know what I mean? So I think my engine is actually pretty healthy, and all the smoke that's coming out from underneath the car is just brake fluid landing on the hot parts. Okay guys, so I've been on the phone with my buddy Miller Built for a cool minute, and he kind of enlightened me on some things that I didn't know. Read online that you can engage the VTEC rockers and stuff by adding air into the oil gallery to act as oil pressure. So I called the homie Miller and he confirmed that you can do it that way. You take off the VTEC solenoid, there's 3 holes. You put air compressor air into the middle hole, and that should act as oil pressure, which then should lock the VTEC pins and everything to engage VTEC, right? Now, before I do it on Project Blueberry, I did take the valve cover off my spare engine, and I did take off the VTEC solenoid as well. This is the middle hole where you add air into, and Miller was saying that you apply air and then you rotate to see if it'll lock these two guys down, and the only one that will be working will be the VTEC lobe and rocker assembly. Now, it is hard to put air in here and trying to rotate the crank at the same time to keep an eye on here to see if it's all working, but I did apply air and watch all of the pins move and lock like it should. So let me show you guys really quickly. You probably can't see it on the GoPro, but in between here, each one of these rockers have a pin. You can probably see the silver in between them moving when I apply air into the system. So if you look, if you can, if you couldn't, I don't know. So if you look, I'm gonna apply air. It's moving. All of them are moving. Even the ones back here are moving like it should, and I think this is the easiest way for me to like visually verify if my pins are moving or not. If it's not moving, then my shafts are probably installed wrong, or I'm missing a pin or a spring or something like that. So because now I know I can visually see it with the valve cover off, I'm gonna pull Blueberry up, pull the valve cover off, pull the VTEC solenoid off, apply the same pressure. The only difference is oil is probably gonna shoot out everywhere, but I'd rather have it shoot out for me to figure out what's really going on than for me to not even try at all. So let's go ahead and pull Blueberry up. Man, everything in here is really clean thanks to the chem dip, but now I got to pull off the VTEC solenoid, and hopefully the nozzle can fit back there because it is so crammed up with the dump tube. Maybe I should take that off too. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the VTEC solenoid, 3 10mm and a couple of plugs. Solenoid off. Air compressor is in the middle hole, I think. Let me double check, I can't see it. Yep, it is in the middle, and there is oil in this motor obviously, so got everything all covered up to make sure we aren't spewing oil everywhere. But simple enough. Give it a good spray. My thumb's stuck. Oh yeah, pins are moving. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's moving. It's interesting because they are all moving, and you can see all the air coming out in between all the journals. So obviously we're not blocking oil passages. That would indicate that the rods for the cam holders or the rocker assembly is installed on the wrong side. Every single one of these are working. I also want to check this little screen in the front to make sure that's not clogged. Okay, so I had cleaned everything up to move the car over to the driveway, and then I realized the wagon does not have an ECU, so I can't even move it up or down, and I'm not gonna push it down or push it back up. So I guess I'm just gonna work on the Blueberry right here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna take apart the valve train and really inspect to see if I had installed something wrong. So I think just for S and giggles, like, I'm gonna pull the valve train apart and just tear the entire rocker assembly apart to see if every pin spring is in there and installed correctly. But we're gonna do it right here. I know I've been talking a lot, and honestly I just want to kind of like share you guys the findings and everything, because this is kind of like a diagnostics. We're not doing anything crazy. We're literally just trying to figure out why our VTEC is not working. So let's go ahead and dive into it. This does not look clogged at all. It's actually pretty clean. The hole itself is also pretty clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave this off for right now. And I did mention earlier that I didn't see some pins moving, and that's because the lobes are pushing down on the rocker assembly and the pin holes aren't lining up, which then wouldn't lock up if I put air pressure through the oil gallery. That was my reasoning for wanting to pull the entire cam holder and cams out, but I think I'm just going to do it anyways because I want to make sure that all the pins and springs and everything is installed correctly. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw you guys on laps and get to work. So the rocker assembly, there are 3 of them, and each one of these has a pin in it. This one has a medium pin, this one has a large pin, and this one has the small hollow pin with the spring in it. Now I did notice that the medium pin rocker are actually stuck in there, and it's not just this one, it's literally all of the medium pin rocker that has the pin actually stuck in it. And what I'm seeing is if the medium pin is stuck, that means when the oil goes through the gallery, pushes the pins over to engage VTEC, the pins aren't actually locking all 3 rockers together to allow the big VTEC lobe to do its thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put some rubber band on here to ensure that each rocker are not gonna just fall apart. And I do have it marked as well too to make sure I put each rocker assembly back into its home location. Let's go ahead and put some rubber band on here and take this thing apart. New piece of information: the medium pin rocker is not supposed to move in. That's why I think it's stuck, but it's not actually stuck. This is the one that gets activated by the oil pressure, then it shoots the pin out, going into the large pin, which then goes into the smaller pin, locking all 3 rockers together. Now the oil ports on the shaft itself, it's actually the same between the 2, although it is directional. You can see the small end here and then the larger end over here, but these 2 are actually the same, so there's no way for it to be installed incorrectly. But I did notice that the inside is really gunked up, but we do have pressure, because you guys saw that the oil was kind of like bursting through in between all of this when I applied my air compressor. but you can see it is super duper gunked up on the inside. Now I'm really scratching my head. I don't know if that's going to be a big deal. It could possibly block the ports, but you guys saw that the pins move when we did it inside the car, but nothing here looks unusual. Guys, we've lost a lot of daylight here, but let me explain. So I've been sitting here for like 2 hours now, just trying to go through every scenario. I think I've said this. I've gone through every single scenario to figure out why my VTEC isn't working. I've called the homie Nomis. I've called the homie Guy, because he builds a lot of K-series engine, and he pretty much told me everything that I've already done here. And I've double checked FSM, I've double checked the build video, I've even checked the K24 rebuild for the KRX, and everything I've done here and installed into the Project Blueberry's engine the first time was all installed correctly. So before I put everything back into the car, we were kind of talking about the only other possibility is not getting oil pressure to the head to lock these pins into place to engage VTEC. And this does have a K20 oil pump conversion that I got from the junkyard, and we do have oil pressure. Do we have enough? I don't know. So what I'm gonna do, probably not tonight, but what I'm gonna do later is get the correct fitting. I'm gonna take off the pressure sensor that's set up for the boost gauge. I'm gonna move that to the back to see if I can figure out how much oil pressure I'm actually getting. Same gauge setup that I have in the KRX. That car with the junkyard K20 oil pump is pushing about 85, 90 PSI of oil pressure. And I'm hoping that Blueberry is pushing somewhat similar. But if it shows less, that may just be our problem. So that's going to be for a later time, because right now I'm really just trying to rush to put all this back together. I'm not going to show it to you guys because it is going to be very complex. It's dark and we really need the room to just get down to work and do the dang thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all back into the car, guys, with the power of YouTube. Let's just get it done. All right, guys, the entire cam holders, rocker assembly reinstalled, timing completely done. I did it the long way of taking out the timing cover and fully doing the RTV all over again, and reinstalled everything that was on the cowl. Everything we took off, it's all put back on, and this thing should be ready to fire over, except we're not going to turn it on. Why? Because I want the RTV to set. The car is still on jack stands on the passenger side. There's 2 of them here. The wheel's not even on there, and the reason for that is because I want the RTV to dry. The oil is completely tilted over to the driver's side, and tomorrow we should be able to fire it over and drop the car back on the ground. It's literally 12 o'clock. It took me like 2 hours to do the timing, but I wanted to do it right. I wanted to make sure I had it on point. I even made a little recording on my phone to make sure all the TDC marks, the dot, the hyphens, everything was lined up before I fully close it back up. I think we're gonna be a-okay. So I think that's pretty much all we're gonna do for this video, guys. I really just wanted to diag why we don't have VTEC in this car. We didn't really find anything unusual, even though there were some things that I saw that led me to wanting to pull the entire rocket assembly off. But glad we did, because now we verified that nothing in the valve train is installed incorrectly. We do now have a better peace of mind, and again, I mentioned that the next thing we're going to look into is seeing we have enough oil pressure. If I still can't figure out why VTEC isn't working, I mean, I still have a backup K24 right there. So worst comes to worst, we can slap the other K24 in and cross our fingers that VTEC works so we can turn Blueberry up. But for right now, we're just gonna leave it be. I kind of spoke to some of my friends today about some of my scheduling, some of the game plans, some of the upcoming events, and kind of shuffling my schedule around here and shifting the orders of project car like orientation. So not entirely sure which car is going to come to the driveway soon, but I got plenty of other cars on the driveway already that we can work on and further make progress. Before I cap out this video, I want to open up a package I got in the mail, and if you guys can see it right here, it is freaking tall. I'm gonna go ahead and take off my glove for this just so I don't get oil on it. You guys have seen some of the fishing videos, and we've been doing it more and more frequent, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys, the fishing videos that I kicked out didn't really do so great. And you guys got to understand that when a video doesn't do great, it hurts me on the channel and what I do here all together. So I I've been cutting it a little short with the fishing stuff and integrating it into some of the, you know, the daily vlogs here in the garage. But again, still squeezing it in because, you know, sometimes it's nice to just kind of get out and kind of share the moments because you guys don't really see me away from the garage. But we've been fishing with a spinner reel, regular rod setup, some ugly sticks, some Shakespeare stuff. But I wanted my own fishing rod. You guys remember I mentioned that my brother had taken my bait caster and forgot it somewhere. And anyways, that's old news, but I wanted a bait caster again. So in the previous video, we went fishing with Isai. Isai had bought a bait caster off of Facebook for 80 bucks. It's, you know, it's a bait caster. It works because I used it, but I wanted my own bait caster setup because I did enjoy mine when I had it. And what we're really fishing for out here is bass anyways, just kind of a catch and release ordeal. And you can do that with a regular spinning reel, but I don't know what it is about the bait caster. I kind of like the way it works and the way it functions. So I went out and bought a Shimano SLX DC 150. Brand spanking new. Got it from Bass Pro Shop. It's about the same price everywhere online, and I figured I'd go in there and ask them, kind of like run me through the different gear ratios that it had, and he made a lot of sense to me with the different gear ratios. So the only one they had in stock was a 631 anyways, so that's the one that I copped. And you guys already know, man, I love blue, and you guys see my outfit every day is almost black and blue or black and green. So right here we have a Shimano SLX, and this thing is ball bearing. Didn't really read too much about it, but it feels really, really smooth. Currently on mono 12-pound line because I want to get back into bait casting, understand how it works, and getting used to it again before I switch it over to braid. Now this will work perfectly fine, and you know, we're gonna test it with this first. Right now it's currently tied up, so I can't really show you guys, but obviously if you guys are fishermen, you guys will know. If you guys aren't, then plenty of YouTube videos covering this reel. This ginormous thing right here, somebody on Instagram had recommended it to me, and for the price I couldn't turn it down. It was on sale for 20 bucks, and this rod is, I believe, like $70 or something like that, 80 bucks. And this is a blackout 7.3 medium heavy casting rod. So I copped this for 20 bucks, shipped over from Florida from 13 Fishing, and we're gonna mate this up to the bait caster and see. I mean, I really can't test it out, but I just kind of want to open it up and show you guys that we have a new bait caster setup. Ooh, that was cutting towards myself there. That was kind of scary. There were a lot of great ones at Bass Pro Shop while I was there, but because this one was only $20 and a couple of days of wait, I figured I'd save a little bit of money and really feel this rod out, and then we can adjust and change rods later. But 20 bucks, blackout 7.3 medium heavy. Ooh, carbon too? Forged carbon? Chill, dude, chill. All right, check it out. Looks freaking awesome. 13 blackout and 7.3. I mean, I was using the 7.2 and the 7.0. Isai has a 7.0, but you know, dude, this combo looks so good. Let's go ahead and get this put on here. Just a little test fit real quick and see how it all looks together. So fire, bro. Oh my. That carbon, dude. I'm loving the carbon. Wow, okay. Oh yes, sir. Right hand reel. The SLX DC 150 is right hand reel, and the DC 151 is left hand, in case you guys didn't know, because I just found that out as well too. This is pretty much a new rod and reel setup, guys. I hope to bring some more fishing content for you guys. If you guys remembered back when we went fishing for some like stingrays and leopard sharks, we might do some of those as well too. But yeah, man, we're just getting started. We're just getting back into it. So hopefully you guys stick around for some of those and show some love too on those fishing videos, man. It helps me out more than you guys know. But we are gonna wrap up the video right here. I hope you guys enjoy a little bit of the diagnostics with Blueberry's VTEC system. If you guys did, man, be sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around for more car content / fishing content, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.